All right, folks, glad to be with you. ATS.io in Las Vegas. Brian Blessing talking about the big game and the big guy, Patrick Mahomes, going against Tom Brady. We got a Brady video for you, and here's your Patrick Mahomes video. Adam Burke's going to have great information for you on his daily podcast. You know, the funny thing is, it depends on your handicap of the game, how you think the quarterbacks will fare, and so many things are tied into one another, so many correlations throughout the props. And just to tell you how different things can be, if you go back to the Super Bowl last year against San Francisco, like the perception was, but Mahomes went nuts. Well, no, what Mahomes was in that game was clutch because they came from behind in that game, but he struggled for long periods in that game. He went 26 of 42 for only 286, 2 touchdowns, 2 INTs, but he was clutch at the end of the game. In the game earlier this year against Tampa Bay, listen to the difference. And it was the majority of the stuff was in the first half because the Chiefs went nuts. They jumped out of the gate. They were up 17-0. New England came back at him in the fourth quarter. But even when Kansas City was in protect mode, Mahomes was 37 of 49 in the game against the Bucs for 462 yards. They only scored 27, 3 touchdowns, and he had 4 carries for 28 yards. All right, so now we try to plot a course. You know, every game's different, as we just alluded to. The numbers for this game for Patrick Mahomes. Over under 2.5 touchdowns. That's the pick. It's minus a dime either way. You can play around with it. Over 2. The overs minus $2. Again, they give you opportunities to swing for the fences, kind of like an alternative line there. But the base numbers, the total completions by Mahomes, 27.5. And again, in the first game against the Bucs, he completed 37 passes. Total gross passing yards for this game, 329.5 yards. In the regular season game, again, he had 462 yards. But again, this is the Super Bowl. You got the long halftime. It's a unique Super Bowl with the smallest crowd. But again, the numbers are different. But these are mean numbers. But know this, these are the opening numbers from the Superbook at the Westgate, where they do a great job. Mahomes' numbers likely. The majority of these will be played to the over by the general public. Let's go into some other areas. How about this? Total incompletions by Patrick Mahomes, 13.5. So, again, in the first game, he had 12 incompletions in a game he went nuts. And in the Super Bowl last year, he had 16 incompletions. That's an interesting one. Again, the total pass attempts by Mahomes, they got it on the board at 41.5. Total rushing yards by Patrick Mahomes, I said the same thing for Brady on the rushing, but it's maybe more dangerous here for you to get the bad beat. Brady's a quarterback sneaker, nothing, and then the kneel down, you could lose yardage. If you think the Chiefs are going to win the game, Mahomes could get you 22 yards rushing, 23 yards rushing. You're sitting there and you cash that ticket. You're smiling and your beer's cold. You're having a great old time, and then all of a sudden the Chiefs kneel down 3 times, and he went from 23 yards back to 17, and you're like, what? I lost that bet? It can happen. Buyer beware on that one. Longest rush by Patrick Mahomes, over under 11.5 yards. Will Mahomes score a touchdown? The no is the favorite, minus 360. But if he scrambles in, runs one in for you, that is going to pay off nicely at 3-1. Will Mahomes throw a touchdown pass in the fourth quarter? That's a pick 'em, minus a dime either way. Longest completion by Patrick Mahomes. Now, this may be, and I hate the word value. It's the most overused word in sports betting, value. There's no value in ripping up a losing ticket. That being said, if you've got Tyreek Hill, you've got Hardman, you've got Kelsey, who can do damage too. The longest completion by Mahomes, 39.5. That one, I could see that one going up a couple of points here once the public gets involved. But that's an interesting one, without doubt. And you just go through them, and they're so interesting. The distance of the first Patrick Mahomes touchdown pass, you're kind of throwing a dart here. Over under 12.5 yards. Clearly in the red zone, he can just run a quick out the hill, or, Kelsey sits down in a soft spot of the zone. But again, you could have the correlation. That first touchdown of the game could be the 42-yarder that gets you over the longest 39.5-yard pass of the day, and it goes over the first touchdown pass. Again, they're all correlated. They're all fun. And the quarterbacks of the polarizing figures on the props, over 400 of them throughout the week. We're going to dissect into the defense, cross-sport parlays, all the cool things that will be coming up. And these are the guys, though, that will generate the lion's share of the action, the quarterbacks. There's your look at Patrick Mahomes for the upcoming big game. I'm Brian Blessing in Las Vegas for ATS.io.